It's 3 p.m. in July. The sun is hammering down, the air outside feels like a hairdryer on your face, and inside your house isn't much better. You walk in expecting relief. Instead, you get a wall of stagnant, sticky heat that hits you the second you open the door. You glance at the thermostat. You think about cranking the AC. Then you think about last month's electric bill, that number that made you audibly gasp, and you hesitate with your hand on the dial. This is the trap millions of people fall into every single summer. Your house isn't just near the heat, it's actively storing it. The walls, the roof, the attic, even your furniture soak up heat all day like a sponge, and by evening your home has basically turned into a slow cook oven with you inside it. So the AC kicks on. It runs and runs and runs, fighting not just today's heat, but yesterday's heat still trapped in your drywall. That's why your energy bill spikes. You're not cooling a house, you're trying to outmuscle physics with brute force. But here's the good news. You don't need to fight physics. You can use it. Before we touch a single fan or app, let's reframe how you think about your house. Right now, most people treat their home like a sealed box that occasionally needs a machine to force cold air into it. But a house isn't a box. It's a system of air pressure, temperature differences, and airflow paths. And once you understand that system, you can manipulate it for free. The core principle is simple. Hot air rises and moves toward lower pressure, cool air is heavier and sinks, and air always flows from a cool, high-pressure zone toward a hot, low-pressure zone if you give it a path. If you set up your windows, doors, and fans correctly, your entire house becomes one continuous airflow loop, pulling cool air in on one end and pushing hot, stale air out the other. No compressor, no refrigerant, no $400 electric bill, just smart use of the air that's already moving around you. This is what we're calling the wind tunnel method, and it starts with your very first free hack. Step 1. Map your house. Like an airflow engineer. Walk through your home and identify two things. The coolest side of the house, usually the side that's shaded, faces away from direct afternoon sun, or is near trees, a shaded porch, or a north-facing wall. The hottest side of the house, typically the side that gets blasted by direct sun, especially west-facing rooms that bake all afternoon. Your goal is to create a straight line, or as close to straight line as possible path, for air to travel from the cool side, through the house, and out the hot side. Open windows and interior doors along that path, so air has an unobstructed route to travel. Step 2. Flip the way you use your fans. Here's where most people get it backward. They put a fan blowing into the room they're sitting in on the cool side. That's not how cross-ventilation works. Instead, place your fan on the hot side of the house, facing outward in exhaust mode. Point it directly out the window so it's actively sucking hot air out of the house and pushing it outside. Why does this work better? Because a fan pulling hot air out creates negative pressure inside your home. That drop in pressure automatically pulls fresh, cooler air in through the windows on the opposite, cooler side, with zero extra effort from you. You've essentially built a one-directional wind tunnel using the fan as your exhaust pump. Step 3. Seal around the fan. This step is the one almost everyone skips, and it's the difference between a mediocre setup and a genuinely powerful one. If there are gaps around your fan in the window frame, hot outdoor air will sneak back in around the edges of the fan, undoing your work. Use a towel, foam weather stripping, cardboard, or a snug-fitting box fan insert to seal the space around the fan completely. You want 100% of the air passing through that window to be moving in one direction only, out. Do this correctly, and you'll feel a genuine steady breeze moving through your entire house within minutes. Once the sun goes down, temperatures usually drop, often by 15-20 degrees or more, depending on where you live. This is free cooling sitting right outside your window, and most people waste it by keeping everything shut. Step 1. Open up before bed. As soon as the outdoor temperature drops below your indoor temperature, usually a couple hours after sunset, open your windows fully. Use fans in the same exhaust configuration from hack number 1 or point box fans toward open windows to actively pull that cool night air deep into the house. Let this run all night. You're essentially flushing out the trapped daytime heat and replacing it with cool night air, pre-cooling your walls, floors, and furniture for the next day. Step 2. Seal the house at dawn. This is the critical, easy-to-miss step. Just before sunrise, or immediately after, before the outdoor temperature starts climbing, close every window, pull the blinds or curtains, and seal the house up tight. Why now? Because at this moment, your house is at its coolest point of the entire 24-hour cycle. Sealing it up traps that cool air inside, like putting a lid on a cooler right after you've packed it with ice. That trapped cool air becomes your buffer against the heat building up outside all day. Done consistently, this single habit can knock several degrees off your indoor temperature before the sun even fully rises. No electricity required. Your nighttime flushing worked. You woke up to a house that actually felt cool. But now it's 8 a.m. The sun is climbing, and if you don't act fast, all that trapped cool air is about to get overrun. This is the moment where your strategy has to flip completely. All night your job was to move air. Now your job is to stop it. From this point until early evening, your house needs to behave less like a wind tunnel and more like a fortress, sealed, shaded, and defended against the one thing trying to get in: solar heat. Most people lose this battle without even realizing it because they don't understand how heat is actually attacking their home. It's not just hot air seeping in through cracks. It's radiation, direct sunlight blasting through glass and heating everything it touches, whether or not a single window is even cracked open. Somewhere between 8 and 9 a.m., earlier if you live somewhere that heats up fast, close every window, then close every blind, then close every curtain in that order. This isn't just about blocking airflow. It's about blocking line of sight to the sun entirely. Any window the sun can shine directly through is a heat source, full stop. Step 2. The blackout curtain test. Here's a simple experiment you can try yourself, and it's one of the most convincing demonstrations of how radiant heat actually works. Take a sunlit couch or chair, one that's been sitting in direct sunlight through an uncovered window, and place your hand flat on the armrest. It's warm. Sometimes uncomfortably warm, even though the room temperature on your thermostat might read something totally normal, like 74 degrees. That's the key lesson. The air temperature and the surface temperature are two completely different things. Sunlight doesn't just warm the air passing through a window. It directly heats every surface it touches, and those surfaces then radiate that heat back into the room for hours afterward. Now do the same test after installing blackout curtains and keeping them closed during peak sun hours. Touch that same armrest a few hours later. It'll feel noticeably cooler, sometimes dramatically so, because you've blocked the radiant energy before it ever had a chance to load into your furniture, floors, and walls. This is why blackout curtains consistently outperform regular curtains or blinds alone. They block far more of the infrared radiation, not just the visible light. Almost every ceiling fan in America has a small switch near the base of the motor, usually tucked up on the housing where you'd need a stool to see it. Most people have never touched it. It controls the direction the blades spin. And getting it wrong means your fan is working against you, not for you. Summer mode versus winter mode. Summer setting, counterclockwise. The blades push air straight down, creating a direct downward breeze you can actually feel on your skin. This is what creates the wind chill effect that makes a room feel several degrees cooler than the thermostat says, even though the fan isn't lowering the actual air temperature at all. Winter setting, clockwise. The blades pull air upward and redistribute warm air that's collected near the ceiling, gently pushing it back down the walls without creating a direct draft. Great for December, useless for July. Flip that switch to counterclockwise for summer, and you'll immediately notice the difference. A steady downdraft that makes 78 degrees Celsius feel more like 74 degrees Celsius. without spending a single extra cent on cooling. It's a 5-second fix that most homeowners have simply never discovered. If you live in a 2-story home, you have access to one of the most powerful free cooling tools available, and it comes down to one basic law of physics: heat rises. Throughout the day, hot air naturally migrates upward and pools on your second floor and in your attic space, while the ground floor stays comparatively cooler. Instead of fighting this, you can use it like a chimney to actively pull heat out of your entire house. How to set it up. Upstairs, create an exhaust point. Open a window on the upper floor, ideally on the side of the house that isn't in direct sun, and place a fan in that window facing outward, just like the exhaust setup from hack number 1. This actively pulls the hot rising air up and out of the house instead of letting it just accumulate. Downstairs, create an intake point. Open a window on the ground floor, preferably in a shaded area, to draw in cooler air from outside or from crawl spaces. As the upstairs fan pulls hot air out, it creates negative pressure that pulls cooler air upward through your house naturally, from the ground floor all the way up through the stairwell. You're essentially turning your staircase into a chimney flue, using the building's own vertical shape to move air with almost no extra effort. Combine this with your sealed windows and blackout curtains on the sun-facing side, and you've built a complete daytime defense system, one that blocks incoming heat while continuously venting out whatever heat manages to sneak in. You've sealed your windows. You've flipped your ceiling fan. You've built your chimney effect between floors. And yet, by 4 p.m., your upstairs rooms still feel like they're radiating heat from somewhere you can't see. That's because there is a furnace above your head, and it's your attic. Most homeowners never think about their attic until something breaks. But during a summer afternoon, a poorly ventilated attic can easily climb to 120 degrees or higher, sometimes even hotter than the air directly outside, and that heat doesn't stay up there. It presses down through your ceiling, into your insulation, and radiates directly into the rooms below, working exactly like an oven element mounted above your second floor. This is the missing piece for anyone who's done everything else right, but still can't understand why their upstairs rooms won't cool down. Your attic isn't meant to be sealed like a living space. It's meant to breathe. When it's properly ventilated, hot air can escape almost as fast as it builds up, instead of sitting there and slow cooking your ceiling all afternoon. The 2 key vent types to check ridge vents. These run along the very peak of your roof line and let hot air escape from the highest, hottest point of the attic, exactly where heat naturally collects. Gable vents. These are the vents on the triangular wall sections at the ends of your attic, allowing air to flow horizontally in and out. If these vents are painted over, blocked by insulation, covered with debris, or were never properly installed in the first place, your attic is essentially sealed, trapping heat instead of releasing it. Walk up and physically check that air can move freely through them. If you have access to a powered attic fan, running it during peak afternoon hours can actively pull that superheated air out rather than waiting for it to escape passively. Fixing attic ventilation is one of those invisible upgrades that doesn't show results instantly, but over the course of a full summer, it can noticeably lower the temperature of every room directly beneath that hot zone. Here's a question almost nobody asks. Why are you trying to cool a 1,200 square foot house when you're actually only using 400 square feet of it at any given time? Think about your actual daily footprint. The living room where you watch TV, the bedroom where you sleep, maybe the kitchen for an hour in the morning. Meanwhile, the guest bedroom, the formal dining room, the home office nobody uses on weekends, all of that square footage is sitting there, absorbing heat, with nobody around to benefit from cooling it. How to build your cool zone. Identify your actual living zone. Be honest about which rooms you use for more than 30 minutes a day. That's your cool zone. Seal off everything else. Close the doors to unused rooms. Hang insulated curtains, or even just heavy blankets, across doorways to rooms that don't have doors, like open dining areas or hallway nooks. This creates a soft barrier that keeps hot air from that unused space from mixing back into your cool zone. Build your wind tunnel inside the cool zone only. Instead of trying to create airflow across your entire home, apply everything from hacks number 1 and number 5 specifically within this smaller area. Exhaust fan on the hot side of your zone, intake on the cool side, ceiling fan running counterclockwise. The result is dramatic. Instead of spreading your cooling effort across triple or quadruple the square footage, you're concentrating 100% of your airflow strategy into the 1/3 of the house you're actually living in. Rooms feel colder, faster, with the exact same amount of effort. Put all 7 of these hacks together: cross-ventilation, nighttime flushing, ceiling and insulation, correct ceiling fan direction, the 2-story chimney effect, attic ventilation, and the cool zone strategy. And you've built a complete no-cost cooling system that works with your house instead of against it. The financial upside speaks for itself. Every degree you don't ask your AC to fight for is money staying in your pocket, especially during peak summer months when utility companies often charge higher rates for electricity used during high-demand afternoon hours. But there's something even more valuable here than saving money: resilience. Power outages happen during heat waves, storms, or grid strain, sometimes exactly when you need cooling the most. If you already know how to move air, block radiant heat, and concentrate your resources into a cool zone, you're not helpless the moment the power goes out. You already know how to keep your home livable using nothing but airflow and physics. That's the real goal here. Not just a lower electric bill, but genuine control over your comfort no matter what the grid or the thermostat says. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these hacks are you trying first? Have you already tried the ceiling fan trick or the cool zone strategy, and did it actually make a difference in your home? Drop your experience in the comments. And if this helped you beat the heat, share it with someone else who's dreading their next electric bill.